as you know, I run Empowered STEM. And Empowered STEM is an A-level course provider, and we provide A-level courses in chemistry, biology, physics, and maths for those students who want to enroll in medical, dental, veterinary, financial, and engineering programs at the chosen university in the UK. So today, I wanted to come into this live stream and I wanted to talk to you about how you can use feedback with your team to move forward. So parents, you know how it is. Your son, your daughter, they bring home a test result and you say, "How did it go?" And they've got this disappointed look on their face. Maybe they're holding back a few tears. And they're just disappointed and they're shaking their head. And the question is, what do you say at this moment in time? What do you say to your son or your daughter? And parents, you're stuck, aren't you? You're riding this knife edge, if you would, because are you comforting as you say, well, sorry about that? Or are you pushing them forward, saying you need to revise differently? What exactly do you say in this moment in time? Well, it's the reaction of you and your teen to the feedback that's more important than the grade that they get on the test or the exam themselves. And the reason is because how they react to the feedback is going to shape their progress in the course in A-level chemistry, biology, physics, and maths. The issue is that most teens, they internalize everything emotionally. They take it at the gut level. Like, oh, I didn't do well in this test. It's my fault. I'm not smart enough. I don't know why I'm studying A-level maths or A-level science. You got this dream of being a doctor. They internalize it emotionally rather than analyzing it logically. And this is what we need to talk about today. Because the core problem is that teens feedback as a judgment of them, of their identity, not data. And for them, what they start saying is that they start saying, well, I'm not very good at A-level chemistry, am I? I'm never going to get an A. Well, I must be behind everybody else. Well, my friends did better than I did. Okay. Do you hear, parents, all of those limiting beliefs coming in? All right. And what this is an emotional interpretation of the data. And this emotional interpretation, what it does is that it leads students down a pathway. I call it the 3 rungs of the ladder. They step down. First off, it's avoidance, then it's anxiety, and then it's lack of confidence. Avoidance meaning, well, didn't do too well on this test. I'm not very good at it, at this subject. Don't know why I want to do this. I'll work on the other subjects like biology or maths rather than chemistry because I'm doing better in biology and maths. Anxiety. Oh. Got another test coming up in a month. Teacher said, I've got to show improvement on this test. Or obviously, I'm not studying hard enough. And so they're going to put me into the mandatory study hall. A loss of confidence. I can't do it. I'm not a good test taker. Well, I'm not going to do well on this chemistry test. Well, the next week I got the biology test, and then I've got maths. How am I supposed to do it? Maybe I'm not cut out to be a doctor or a dentist or a veterinarian. The issue then, parents, is this. This is how your teen interprets feedback. This is how they look at the data. the test result. They interpret the feedback on the emotional level. And the issue with this is that feedback is actually the fastest accelerator of improvement if it's looked at in a constructive manner, in a constructive way. So what exactly does the feedback show you? Well, if your teen is looking at a test result, let's use A-level chemistry, and they've got a C. What exactly is it showing you? It's showing you four things: the understanding of the content, the exam technique, the mindset, and the work habits. So let's break it down one by one. Content. If they're looking at a C, what this shows is that there's gaps in their content. There's misconceptions that they have about some core topics which keep showing up on the tests. Exam technique. Most students understand the content. It's the exam technique that they lose marks on. Maybe they're not picking up on identifying the command words. Maybe they're not structuring their answers in a way that the examiner wants. The mindset. Confidence is tied in to recall. They've actually done studies on this. Confidence is tied in to recall. If you are confident in your ability, that you understand the subject, that you're a good test taker, well, your recall of the information on test day is higher than somebody who isn't confident in what they're doing. Stress. If your teen is stressed out, they're anxious about tests and exams, about the workload, it's going to affect the mindset. It's going to affect the confidence. Self-judgment. If they think that they can't do it, they're not good enough, they're not smart enough. These three things, lack of confidence, stress, and self-judgment, they all lower the marks your teen can get on the test or the exam. It affects them. It lowers the marks. The fourth one is it shows how your teen works. It's really clear. Do they have effective study schedules? Do they have effective revision plans or strategies? Do they have routines which support them? Is their week structured? Do they have good habits? Now, this is what the test grade that they get, or the exam grade that they get, shows them at the metacognitive level. If you step back, it's no longer a number or a letter on the paper that the teacher has circled. What it is that it's a roadmap, and it's a roadmap to them getting the A or the A star in A-level maths and A-level science. It is not a verdict. So in other words, just because your teen gets a C or a D, an E, or possibly a U on their test, on their exam, on one single test or exam, it's not the end of the world, parents. It's not the grade that they're going to get at the end of 2 years. It is a snapshot of the grade that they've got right now. You say, well, Graham, okay, following you on this one, but how can you turn things around? Well, parents, as I always say, these are the type of students that we have enroll in our courses at Empower STEM. The students that come in with a C or a D, and we show them in 16 weeks how to move up to get the A in year 12 and the A star in year 13. We call it walking the path. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about the STEMPath method. This is how we actually do it. There's 4 steps to the STEMPath method: precision diagnosis, conceptual clarity, strategic, revision, and medical mindset. And let me explain to you how it fits into the feedback that we've been talking about in this live stream. Precision diagnosis. What we do is that we can look at your teen's test results, maybe the end of year 12 exam, the UCAS prediction exam. We can look at it, and we have our own internal tests that we use, and we can really quickly determine where the gaps are in your teen's learning. We can identify straight away, is it content? Is it exam technique? Is it study habits, revision strategies? Is it the mindset? And so it's literally like writing a diagnosis. It's like going down to see a doctor and you get written a prescription. This is exactly what the issue is. And so we know from day one what the issue is with your teen and what's stopping them, what's blocking them from getting the A in year 12 and the A star in year 13. We then teach them the content, the way parents it should have been taught in the first place. Very solid foundation in the content, the core topics. A level chemistry, for example, in year 12 or year 13. Solid military grade, as in they know the content inside and out. And more importantly, parents, and this is something which distinguishes us, they can apply the content to novel questions they haven't seen before, for example, on the exam. We then teach them strategic revision. Now, we do it by using the 6 pillars of neuroscience. This is how we teach study habits, revision strategies, for example, interleaving, the Feynman technique, spaced repetition, active learning. The way we teach your teen how to study, how to revise in the way that they learn, which amazingly enough helps them start moving up letter grades. Okay. We also show them how to use past papers in a meaningful way, not memorize mark schemes and hope that the question that they just memorized the answer to comes up on the test. Because hope is not an effective strategy, is it? And then we spend some time with the mindset. We use academic coaching, and we help them rewire their identity. And so they can become the type of student that would earn the A in year 12 or the A star in year 13. They will go off to top university choice, and they will effectively become a doctor, a dentist, a veterinarian, a financial expert, or an engineer. These are the 4 steps to our pathway. This is our STEMPath method. And it's effective, parents, in helping teens like yours turn the game around and start walking the path up to the A and the A star in A-level maths and A-level science. So parents, what exactly can you do when your teen brings home a bad test grade? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to pause. You need to pause the emotional reaction to it. In other words, parents, don't get upset with your teen. All right? Do not say, why did you get this test grade? Why aren't you able to do this? Why aren't you studying more? Why are you like this? I mean, so-and-so's son or daughter has an A or an A star. They aced this test. Why didn't you do it? Because why, the question why activates the belief system that they have, and they'll come back to you with a belief. Better way of doing it, after they've had time to calm down, is say, what can we learn from this test? What can we do differently? Because what activates the behavior pattern? A lot more productive. The next thing you can do is that you can look at the test with your teen. You can sit down with your teen and you can look at the test and you can break it down into categories, because it's always going to be one of 4 reasons why they didn't get the A or the A star on the test. Number 1 is they didn't know the content. Number 2 is they have poor exam technique. Number 3, it's a timing issue. They ran out of time. Or number 4, it's a confidence issue. Now, once you've identified what it is, you've got to flip the conversation on its head. You've got to find in what they did a quick win. They must have done something right, parents. Now, I know you're saying, well, Graham, he's got a U. What's he got an E? Well, maybe the quick win is they tried their best with the skills and the understanding that they had. They put forth a really good college effort. The university tried. It just didn't give them the results that they wanted. Now, do you notice in this one, parents, I am avoiding the identity. I am looking for something which they did, behavior level, that must have been right. Reinforce the long game. Now, I know when your teen is maybe upstairs in the bedroom crying their eyeballs out, or maybe your son's walking around the house stomping and having a fit and everything else, okay? I know it's difficult for them to see outside of the box. But what they need to do is they need to think of the long game. This is one test. This is one data point out of possibly hundreds of tests and exams they're going to take on their way to becoming a doctor, a dentist, or a veterinarian. And one test is not going to ruin their life choices. It really isn't. But of course, they're not going to see that because they've onboarded the feedback in an emotional way. They've taken out the identity level. They say, I can't do it. So what you need to do is reinforce the fact it's just one test out of many. It's not the end of the world. And then have a conversation with them where you're supportive, where you help them come up with a plan. Because I think I've said this in previous live streams, is this one, is that in teens, the hippocampus, the area of the brain that regulates organization, it's not fully developed yet until about 25. And so they're not really good at being organized. And so even though they don't want to say it, they do want some help putting a study schedule together, maybe looking at different revision strategies, maybe having somebody they can talk to who's non-judgmental, who's acting, as I say, the coach and not the referee. Right? You don't want to be the referee, parents, with the red card saying, you've done this wrong, you've done this wrong. Be the coach, be supportive, work with your team, and you'll see the grades start to improve. Now, is there a story behind this? Well, of course there is. Because, I always have stories. Let me tell you the story about Harry. Well, when Harry came to us, Harry had earned a D in A-level chemistry and he wants to be a vet. And his mother, Anne, found us on the internet. She reached out to us. She spoke to a member of my team. We had the conversation and she invested in her son's education with us. When Harry started, he had a D. He was a hard-working young man. Oh, yeah. Put the time, effort, and attention in. Issue was that the school system had let him down. His teacher was ill for the entire A-level chemistry course at his school. And so he was taught by the science technician. Here's a worksheet, go down to the library, work it out yourself. What grade do you think that he's going to get? I mean, just think, parents, just thinking, yeah, he didn't have structure, he didn't have support. So how on earth could he possibly have known? How on earth could he possibly have known the content, how to develop exam technique? Right. So when he came with us, he was struggling. He had a D. He didn't have a game plan. He didn't have a set of skills, a set of strategies. He didn't know what to do. And so what we did is we helped him go through the 4 steps of the STEMPath Method. Precision diagnosis. We identified what the issue was. Lack of content. He didn't understand the content. This was his major area, coupled with exam technique. You get those 2 things wrong, of course, he's going to walk out with a D. And so we walked him through the course, and I have to admit, Harry onboarded the feedback from the course tutor. He was always in all of our support sessions. He worked with the course tutor. He was asking questions, and he onboarded all the feedback. And he didn't take the feedback on the emotional level. He took the feedback as logical analysis of data. And so his grade in A-level chemistry, when they map out the grades, started at a D, and it moved up, and it moved up, until all of a sudden, at the end of our course, he was sitting at an A in year 12 and an A star in year 13. Well, of course, because his grade was moving up, his confidence was moving up. His belief now was, I can do it. The reason I couldn't do it before was because I didn't have the right structure. I didn't have the right support. I didn't have anybody to teach me. And so because of this, when he took his A-level exam, he got an A in A-level chemistry. And now he got into his number 1 choice school for veterinary science. And now he's studying to be a small animal vet. Because he could onboard feedback with an open mind and improve. So he improved his study skills, revision strategies, his habit, his workflow, everything. So parents, what I need you to understand then is this, is that feedback, it isn't a measure of your teen's potential. It is a measure of your teen's preparation. This is what feedback actually is. Feedback is a measure of your teen's preparation. It's not a measure of your teen's potential. And teens that can respond to feedback in a structured way, they don't onboard it emotionally. These are ones that studies show do well and actually outperform those students that are gifted. Those students that just find the subject to be easy. But one thing to keep in mind, parents, is this, is that the grade that your teen gets on one test or one exam today is not the trajectory in the course. It's not the grade that they're going to work out with at the end of year 13. So parents, as always, if you're watching this live stream on Facebook and what I say resonates, our lives that come out twice a week resonate with you, and you go, yes, I appreciate, Graham, the tips and the strategies and the techniques that you put forth to help my teen earn an A or an A star in A-level maths or A-level science, then like the business page and you'll be notified of upcoming live streams. Or if you're watching this live stream on YouTube, then subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll also be notified of the upcoming live streams. And you can watch all the other live streams that we've done. Now, if you're interested in the courses that we offer at Empowered STEM, if you're watching these live streams and you're thinking, I want to learn more about the A-level maths and science courses that Empowered STEM offers, click the link in the description below the video on Facebook or YouTube, and you'll be taken to a page where you can put in your contact information, and a member of my team will reach out to you and have a non-sales conversation with you. And it's a really easy conversation that we have. It goes like this. You tell us how your teen is doing in the subject, A-level chemistry, what the working grade is right now, what the predicted grade is, the aspirational grade is, what university they want to attend, the number one choice, what they want to be. And we'll tell you about our courses, how they work, and how we can help your teen achieve an A in year 12 or an A star in year 13. And you can have all of your questions answered. And so you will leave well informed and able to make an informed decision on whether you want to proceed forward. Everybody take care, and I'll see you on the next one.